Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Ryan118, joined today by Ryan McGinley over on the right-hand side of the screen. For once, we're actually on time. We're here at 5 o'clock on the button. There was no technical issues. There was nothing wrong behind the scenes. We've managed to get things sorted, and we're here to deliver the preview show for tomorrow night's game, Celtic versus Ross County? That's not Ross County. It's Raith Rovers. Celtic against Raith Rovers. Almost a perfect intro there, Ryan. Almost. Celtic against Raith Rovers in the Premier Sports Cup quarter-finals off the back of our weekend loss to Livingston. As I've already said, I'm joined by Ryan McGinley. Ryan, how are you doing, son? Nice to see you. It's good to have you back on. It feels like a while since we've actually done anything, to be honest.
I know. Back to it, I suppose. I'm doing okay. I've kind of gotten over. Today was the first day I've not felt bad about the Livingston result because I'll be honest, it stung me for a couple of days. It's really actually quite angered me, and it died down yesterday. But I started listening to more podcasts when I was out at work. I listened to the Four
It's self-inflicted. It's self-inflicted for you. Self-inflicted.
It is, but do you know it helped. Between me and my dad deal with results differently. I like to talk them out. I like to talk out results and see exactly where we've gone wrong. My dad prefers to just go quiet when we lose. So I was listening to all these podcasts and I feel a little bit better. I feel like it's all out my system now and I can focus on tomorrow's game.
Yeah, tomorrow's game, a big one. Celtic looking to return to Hampden. Now, I know technically we did go to Hampden last season. We played that delayed 2019-20 Scottish Cup final, but in the 2020-21 competitions, Celtic didn't make it to Hampden Park once, Ryan. We didn't make a semi-final. So tomorrow night is a chance to return there. If we beat Raith Rovers, we'll be in that semi-final. Now, just before we get into talking about the game, you will be wondering, why are we doing it live tonight? Why are we doing it differently? And I know it's not the most exciting game in the world. That's why, I've went live. We can kind of open it up a little bit, talk about different things, have a Q&A in the chat. It'll be up later on for people to watch post live as well. And also, Ryan is here as well, and I may as well say the podcast will be returning back on Friday. We're going to be out filming, me, you, Kieran Auld. We're back, baby. Finally back in the studio after a few weeks out, so I'm looking forward to that. Right, Ryan, Raith Rovers tomorrow night. We'll come on to the opposition a bit later on, but in terms of the Celtic point of view, a massive chance to recapture some confidence after that weekend loss against a side in the division below us. Now, I never want to sleep on these opponents because they always want to come and spoil the party. They always want to try and do something. But if you're looking at it from a realistic point of view, there is no excuse for Celtic to get anything but a win tomorrow night.
A win and a resounding win at that. Anything less than 4 or 5, and I don't think fans will be happy at all. That's just the way it is, especially at home when we've been scoring goals by the hundreds, it feels like at home. Away from home, it's a different story, but at home, we've definitely been scoring tons of goals. There is no margin for error tomorrow. We have to just get through, and we have to get through, but at the same time, we need to score goals as well because there's a wee bit of negativity creeping about Celtic at the moment. I don't know if you've noticed it online just now. The past 3-4 days have been just completely negative. And it's not been ideal for our preparation in terms of getting to these next couple of games. We need to go out there, put on a good performance, get the fans back on side. I mean, the fans are back on. The fans are on side.
I want to touch on that. What do you think? What do you think right now? And this is something that will be opened up a lot more in the podcast. We have a lot more time to sit down, talk about it, and give all our different opinions. But you have touched on that sort of negativity in the Celtic support right now, and there's a kind of vibe there of the 2020-21 campaign when Neil Lennon was dragging us through the mud. There's been a lot of talk about criticism of the manager and all the rest of it. Where's your head at everything right now? Because there is probably some people who'll be sitting on the fence and going, well, if this was Lennon in this situation, losing 50% of our opening league matches, we'd be crying for him to be crucified. But then the other 50% will be saying, well, listen, it's a project. It's still very much in the works. We've struggled at places we always struggle. How do you look at it right now? I mean, tomorrow night off the cards for a moment. What do you think right now about the whole situation at Celtic?
The difference is Neil Lennon inherited a winning team under Brendan Rodgers, and Neil Lennon managed to drive that team into the ground, and we get used to losing and dropping points. This team that Ange has inherited, he's inherited possibly the worst hand in terms of a team in ages, in terms of us. I don't want to get on the back of the manager yet. He's not devoid of criticism. Like, he's definitely due some criticism to the subs that he made at the weekend. I know that the subs bench wasn't great at the weekend, but if you're looking for a goal and you bring on Sorrow and Beaton, and a returning Mikey Johnson, there's definitely scope there to be criticised, in my opinion. But I'm still firmly on the Ange bus, the Ange train, whatever you want to call it. Tomorrow we've just got to go out and play our own game, and hopefully we get the win, a resounding win that the team needs, and we're through to the next round. But if we don't win, I mean, where do we go from there?
Yeah, I think everything that you said there's pretty nail on the head. I couldn't disagree with any of it. You look at the situation that Ange has walked into. You look at the situation that the board have kind of exaggerated for him. You know, they've made some things worse in a sense. You know, there's certainly things at Celtic that aren't crystal clear at the moment. We just lost our CEO. The whole place seems to be a bit of a mess. The house is far from in order. So I think
and if we're being honest, we didn't.
Oh, there's McGinn there. So you're disconnected now. But take that again for the start there, son.
You went away as well.
Aye, go for the start there, son. On you go.
Even though we won 3-0 against Ross County, it was still a very, very poor performance when you compare it to the other games we played at home. In the games before, obviously against Hearts, Alkmaar as well, Dundee. It was very, very disappointing performance. The pressing and fluidity wasn't there that was there in the past home games. So we're on this wee bit of a run of poor form, although we did win that game out and then we did lose the games after that. So we need to get to a return to form, because this is a very difficult amount of fixtures that are coming up, and we need to be going into these games in top form.
So tomorrow night, the thing for me that I think in the last couple of games, Ross County, Livingston, that has been most noticeable, for some reason not Betis, well, not in the first half anyway, but in domestic football against Ross County and against Livingston, I feel like we've been lacking such a creative outlet, Ryan. I just don't think we've been the same. I think we've struggled in the final third of the pitch, and we need to sort that tomorrow night. But one thing, and I can say, just to clarify for people who may be tuning in, Giacomakis will be involved in the squad, not guaranteed if he'll start. Albina Yeti, of course, will still be there. Callum McGregor is yet to come back. He'll miss out once again. I don't know if it is just with McGregor being out, Ryan, but there was such a lack of initiative in the Celtic side the last couple of games. It seemed like we were so null of ideas, and you need to fix that. Against a championship side, you can't allow that to happen once again.
Yeah, there needs to be somebody that's making these chances, and I think if you look back on it, it's ever since Christie left that our chance creation is dropping lower and lower every game. It seemed as if Christie was really getting into the groove of his game. Obviously, he had a very poor performance against Rangers, and that kind of soured it for a lot of fans, including for myself. But beforehand, he was playing arguably the football of his career under Ange. So somebody needs to step up and bring that creative spark that we've been missing since Christie left. I'm still very much doubting if Turnbull and Rogic can play in the same team, especially away from home. They can do it at home. You get afforded a wee bit less pressure at home, but away from home, the two of them are passengers, you could say, away from home in some games. So somebody needs to sort of step up and be that creative spark. Otherwise, we can't afford to have two luxury players in the one team, for me.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the opposition a little bit. We've already marched on to the 10-minute mark, and I want to get some questions from the people who are watching live tonight. So let's talk about the opposition. Raith Rovers, they currently sit 5th in the Scottish Championship. Last season they done fantastic. They exceeded, I think, everyone's expectations last season under John McGlynn. They went and finished 2nd or 3rd in one of those playoff spaces. They got to the playoff final with Dundee, where Dundee, of course, went on to win, or the playoff semi-final technically. Their last run of games has actually been quite decent as of late. In their last 5, they have beaten Morton, they've beaten Ayr United, they've beat Forfar in the Challenge Cup, they lost to Queen of the South, but the big result, and the reason that they got here, was the 2-1 win against Aberdeen that sent them on to the quarterfinals. So they're not short of experience when it comes to playing teams in the top flight. They're not short of the sort of capability of causing a fright. But Ryan, with no disrespect to Raith Rovers whatsoever, it's still a team that Celtic should be dispatching. But is there a fear that something could go wrong against Raith Rovers?
Well, I mean, you look at the last game, we were playing against lesser opposition, you could say, in Livingston, and we struggled against them. We obviously get beat. So obviously, you've got a team like Raith Rovers coming to Celtic Park and thinking that they can maybe cause an upset. Maybe this is the perfect time to face Celtic. maybe at home you've got less of a chance against us, but still we're on a wee bit of a losing streak, 2 games in a row that we've been beat. So Raith Rovers will be thinking to themselves, this is the perfect time to come up against us. Maybe we can get an upset. And John McGlynn, he's obviously previous with Celtic before, hasn't he? I'm sure he was a scout at Celtic at one point.
Yes,
So he's got experience. Right. He's got experience working with Celtic before. Maybe he knows the way they work and the way they play. He'll be doing his job as a manager anyway. You would assume. So he'll be going to Celtic thinking, we can maybe get a result here. We can maybe get through to the next round. But it's all up to Celtic to turn up and show just how good a team we are and how much we've improved under Ange, especially at home. If we do that, then I don't think we'll have any problems. But if we come to the game at less than 100% intensity, which you did see against Ross County, we were less than 100% there, then, do you know, we're in a game.
It's a conversation all the time in these cup games when you're taking on some lesser opposition. You're taking on opposition from lower divisions that you rotate, that you bring in other faces, you bring in some younger guys. I've seen a kind of mixed response in the live comments tonight. Some people saying, send out the best team, get the job done, and get the, kind of the fluidity back in the team and get a bit of a, I think that there's an importance to be stressed on getting this team together. A bit of, recognition of each other and knowing who's who and what's what in the system. Maybe it is important you play a very similar team, but Ryan, this could be a big chance for a lot of faces to come in now. We've got guys that we've signed that have yet to make any impact on the first team. Liam Scales, Liam Shaw, Yakimakis. They're 3 names that I suggested yesterday for playing tomorrow. They've had no involvement in the 11 on the park as of yet. Could it be a big chance for guys to step up? Because for me, you look at the performance against Livingston, I don't think that Liam Shaw could have been any worse than Sorrow or McCarthy. If anything, I think Liam Shaw could have gave you a bit more. I don't think Liam Scales could be any worse than any of our centre-halves so far this season. I don't think that Yakimakis, after being top scorer in the Eredivisie, could offer us any less than what we had in the final third. So there is a conversation now to Ange making changes and bringing in other faces. Do you expect him, or do you want him? Do you expect him to make changes tomorrow night?
I'm kind of in 2 minds about it because I want us to put our best team out to get a resounding result and get the feel-good factor back. But at the same time, I do want to see some rotation. The only problem with rotation is that we don't exactly have the strongest starting 11 out just now. So what is the rotation going to do? Is that going to make the team weaker all of a sudden? I'm not sure. Maybe putting in Liam Shaw, get some legs in the midfield, get some authority in there would be a good move.
Would you not agree? I seen a statement in the live chat earlier that says no matter what 11 we send out tomorrow, it should be beating Raith Rovers. Would you agree with that?
To an extent, but I would still be giving Raith Rovers the respect that they deserve. They've gotten this far. They've obviously got something about them. They put out Aberdeen. I remember listening to that game. In the first half, Aberdeen absolutely dominated them. In the second half, they took their foot off the gas and Raith Rovers pounced on them. I was listening to that on the way to a game. I can't remember what game it was. In fact, it would have been the Hearts game because it was on the same match day. Yeah. We've got to give these teams the bit of respect. You can do some rotation without it being too disrespectful and playing basically the B team, but at the same time I want to see as many first team players as possible. You can maybe sort of read between the lines with that and put Liam Scales in if you consider him a first team option. Liam Shaw as well. Yakimakis, I was listening to what Ange had to say. It said it would be unlikely that he would start the game, but he would probably be on the bench. So if you give a Yeti 60 minutes and then Yakimakis half an hour, then you're using the team efficiently and giving a Yeti minutes. I mean, albeit he probably doesn't need more minutes in him because he's the only striker at the moment. But if you give him 60 minutes, maybe get a couple of goals on his side and then Yakimakis on for the last half an hour, that would be absolutely ample. I'm just trying to maybe tomorrow would be a good night to start Mikey Johnson, get him back to full fitness. A fit and firing Mikey Johnson. We've only seen him in bits over the past couple of seasons, but when he's on top form, he looks like a really good young player.
Everybody knows my opinion of Mikey. Everybody knows my opinion of Mikey Johnson.
And I'm getting to the same sort. I'm getting to the same sort of opinion of him as well. But if he is fit, and you make the same, older fans are making the same sort of things to Griffiths. Fit and firing Griffiths will get you X amount of goals a season, but Mikey Johnson, when he was fully fit, was changing games. He was winning games on his own. I remember a game against Dundee, he scored 2 goals, including a great header in the box. So it showed his versatility. I think he's had a tough ride. I mean, some of the games that he was brought into, he was playing up front and against Rangers. You're like, what is he supposed to do in that role? But if we can see him in his preferred position on the left, and then maybe put Jota to the right because he was effective on the right against Betis, then we could maybe get a good performance from Mikey Johnson that will be a sort of springboard onto better form as time goes on.
So let's talk about our predicted starting 11. We'll try and go with that, and rather than our favoured starting 11 as to who we think Ange may or may not play. In goals, expecting Hart to keep his place right, he should do it. Even in cup competitions, I don't see why he would change it, especially with how well Hart has been playing just now. And also, keep in mind, he's got the captain's armband at the moment with Callum McGregor being on the sideline. So
That's
would
important.
you say Hart and goals?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, here's the big question. The back four, what does he do for the back four? I thought Juranovic was poor at the weekend. It may be a chance for Tony Ralston to come back in the team at right back. Yeah. I would like to see Liam Scales. I think it's a big chance for Scales. Centre-half partners. It's very difficult to outline what he might do with that back four tomorrow. If I was to go off the top of my head, I think that it might go along the lines of Ralston, Welsh, Carter-Vickers and Scales, in all honesty. I think that might be the back four we see. What do you think?
I would go Ralston, and then the centre halves for me would be Carter-Vickers and Scales, and then maybe left back Montgomery.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I would like to see Montgomery in the team if given the opportunity. I said that yesterday. Someone who's been impressing me every week. So it could be him, I suppose. That's both our predicted back fours. Middle three, I'm going to... Oh, this is the harder part, isn't it? Middle three, who does he play in the middle three at the moment with how poor we've been? With no Callum McGregor. Does he stick with Rogic and Turnbull? Does he make a change? What do you think, Ryan? I'll let you go first this time since I went first with the back four.
I think due to him being the best sub when he came on, I would put Sorrell as a defensive mid, first of all. And then you could maybe put Turnbull and Rogic there again. I suppose you can do that more at home than away from home. I just hope that Ange learns his lesson and knows that you can't play those two away from home. You need a wee bit of grit in there. Or maybe push Callum McGregor up a wee bit further forward and put someone behind them. Maybe there's scope to play McGregor and McCarthy in the same team. If McCarthy was to stay back a wee bit, McGregor plays further forward, although McGregor can play that further back role quite well as well. I'm trying to think, what other midfielders do we have? I think
I would go with. I think tomorrow's going to end up being Sorrell, Turnbull, and Rogic. I think it'll be that middle three tomorrow. I do.
And I see people saying that Sorrell shouldn't be near the team. I mean, he didn't get sent off though against Betis. That's the thing. He managed to ride his luck for as long as he could before he was hopeless. Right subbed. He was absolutely hopeless. Don't get me wrong. He was, and there was a point in that game that I genuinely could not believe that the referee hadn't sent him off. It was almost like, remember when Callum McGregor put in that tackle for the second yellow last season, and the referee allowed Rangers to go on and score, and then brought the game back to send Callum McGregor off for that sort of double jeopardy. I thought they were going to do the same with that chance that Betis had, and then they came back and sent off Sorrell because they let the game go on a wee bit, but they didn't, and he sort of rode his luck. I don't know how he stayed on the pitch. But
I think I'd go with that middle three. I think that'll be the three. And then the front three, I don't think Giakoumakis will start the game. I think we will finally see him. I think he might get on the park at some point, maybe depending on how the game is going. But I think Ajeti will start once more up front. And I don't know why, but I have a feeling that he might go for Jota and Montgomery, like he did against Betis. I know that he does have a bad back and he can select him. I just have a feeling he might go with Jota and Montgomery tomorrow. That's my prediction.
With Abada and Jota, I think you need to watch their game time as well. We can't rely on them every single game. If there is a point that comes around that they can be rested, then I would take it, especially against lower opposition. As much as I want to see a strong 11, we should have options on the bench that are just as strong, that can come into the team and do damage to the other team. I would like to see Montgomery, although in my opinion, I think he needs to find out pretty quickly if he's going to be a left winger.
I said that yesterday. He's got to make that decision. He's got to know if he's going to be a left back or a left winger, because we can't continuously throughout his development years throw him back and forth. That's a massive red flag. That
you've got to know your position by the age of 20, 21, in my opinion. Otherwise, you'll get shoehorned into
sometimes it's not the case. Help. Of course, you look at players like Joshua Kimmich and David Alaba and such, but they're elite level players. They're elite level players. You know, there's a difference between someone who's playing at Celtic and you look at someone who play at Bayern Munich, for God's sake. So, there is a difference, I suppose. I suppose you're right, in a sense, what you're saying there. So what three would you go for up front as we get on to the final part of the show?
Well, since Giacomakis is probably going to be on the bench, I would start with Ayeti again. I'd probably play, for a confidence booster, I'd probably play Abada out on the right, because I want him to get another good performance at home and sort of get back to what he was best at. Because, I mean, he got his rest against Betis, so...
And he was fucking hopeless.
And he said... He didn't really do anything, but you're going to get that from Abada. He's only 19 years old. You're going to get ups and downs. There's a reason why we signed him for so cheap at the age of 19. He's going to have up and down games. He's not going to be at his best every single game. It's all about the potential with him. But he had his rest against Betis. He played against Livingston, albeit he didn't do much. So I'd stick him back in. And I probably would go with Jota as well, just to give him more game time, especially at home. He's just joined the club, basically. So give him another wee bit of game time. And then after 60 minutes, you can bring on Mikey Johnson to sort of the next step of his rehabilitation into the first team.
Fair play. Right, finally, score before we get a couple of questions off the comment section. Ready up your questions, lads. We will be answering them in a moment. Score prediction, Ryan, on you go. Fire away.
4-0.
4-0. You're going lesser than you usually would nowadays. You'd usually go...
my confidence has been hit, unfortunately. Yeah. Those two results, especially the Livingston result, have just sickened me. I've got the ick with Celtic at the moment. That'll change once I'm at the ground right now.
Got the ick. You're still saying 4-0. You've got to love that. You've got to respect that. That's it.
Why be negative? There's no point in being negative. We're football fans. We're supposed to be...
It's not meant to be one straight emotion, innit? It's meant to be a roller coaster. I'm going to go for 3-0 to Celtic tomorrow night at Celtic Park. That's what I'm going to go for. So 3-0 and a 4-0. So, happy days. Get your questions in, lads. It will go for 5 minutes before we top off the show. Because, we've got a little bit to talk about in regards to Celtic itself, and we've got a little bit to talk about in regards to the game tomorrow. We'll talk about whatever you guys want us to throw in for the final 5 minutes. So please type away your questions and we'll get going. Ryan, are you looking forward to getting back to the disco lights tomorrow night?
Yeah, I liked the wee nod to them yesterday on the Twitter page. That's almost as if they're acknowledging it now. They know of the disco lights' existence and they're just manifesting it into reality. I'm looking forward to it. I do like a night game. I prefer them. I prefer night games to 3 o'clock games, if I'm being perfectly honest. I love the coldness coming in, although I don't know how cold it's going to be tomorrow.
You're a psycho. You like the cold?
We're Scottish. You're used to it. I'm used to the cold.
Absolutely, I couldn't disagree with you more. I'm a shirt and shorts man at the football. I like the weather like that.
I still might wear shorts to the game tomorrow, even if it is cold. You got to have that sort of room to manoeuvre or whatnot. But I do prefer like just sort of Tuesday night, Wednesday night Champions League games, or even the Thursday night Europa League games. If it's something in the middle of that, I'll be quite happy tomorrow. I don't see the attendance being that great, if I'm being perfectly honest.
let's start with let's open up this question. Over or under 25,000 at Celtic Park tomorrow? I think over. I think there'll be over 25,000. There's 50,000 season ticket holders. Surely there's going to be over half of them going. I don't expect it to be much higher than 30,000 though. I think 30,000 could be the sort of number around there that we'll see at Celtic Park tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'd probably say about the same, 35,000. It certainly won't be a sellout, that's for sure.
How much do we need to strengthen the January window? Just as one transfer window shuts, we're already talking about the next, but I would say we still need to add quite a bit of depth to our squad, Ryan.
Yeah, but I just don't know where that money's coming from. I know we had those sort of results yesterday, but we've spent a lot. Well, we've spent quite a bit on the 12 players, although we've spent, but we've not spent because we've sort of recouped it back from those transfer fees. In terms of where we need to strengthen, I think now, because we've put so much time into the defence and the attack, we need to supplement the midfield now as well. I feel as if one midfielder wasn't enough in that transfer window, and it showed with McCarthy. Although we did bring in Shaw, but he isn't really thought of as a pure first team player yet. So I would like to see another midfielder in January, somebody that can go box to box for me.
Roscoe is saying we should have given Raith Rovers tickets for tomorrow. Discuss. Now, this has been a This has been a conversation that's been in the media all week. My dad was talking about it in the papers a day. My dad's purely of the point of, oh, that's ridiculous. How have we not give them any tickets and all this? I think what people need to understand is that Celtic Park is still in the situation, as is every stadium, with red zones, green zones, amber zones, all the rest of it. It's difficult to get people situated where they should normally be. That being said, Celtic have a 60,000 seater stadium which has 50,000 season ticket holders, or 52,000 season ticket holders. There is also a gap in the main stand that can't be filled because it is a red section of the stadium, so they have to situate those season ticket holders in different parts of the stadium, which could be up to the old away section. That away section then is filled by Celtic supporters, with the general sale tickets going on to Tuesday. Now, I don't think Celtic have the turnaround in time to get general sale tickets out to their own fans and get them sold over a kind of convincing amount of days, while also giving away fans to other clubs. Once the stadium returns back to normality, fans will be in, but Celtic are in a situation with the amount of season ticket holders they've got where they can't do it, even if there's only going to be 30,000 people at the game. It doesn't matter how many people there's going to be there. It's the logistics around it that makes it impossible for Celtic to go. It's a logistical nightmare. It's people are making it out as if it's that easy. Yeah, I suppose if you've done it weeks in advance, it would be easy, but not every Celtic fan's going to know 3 weeks in advance if they can make it to the Thursday night game through general sale. So it's a really difficult situation. Celtic have got to prioritise their own fans and their own season ticket holders. There.
You've said everything that I was going to say, basically, because I was going to say that the season ticket holders, whether opposition fans like it or not, the season ticket holders are the priority here. They're the ones that pay X amount of money to get into these games. I know they had to pay extra to get into this Raith Rovers game, but they're the ones that get the priority when the tickets come out as well. The fact that the red zone is there means that the home fans, some home fans, are having to relocate into the away end of the stadium. So then they would have to move. Yeah, another because sort of, it would be a movement. Because
I get this. I get what people are saying. Like,
chairs.
I get what people are saying. I understand Celtic could, like, it's understand, but Celtic could have given tickets tomorrow. Let's be honest, it wasn't going to be anywhere near a sellout. But you don't know what season ticket holders are going to turn up to the game. You can't send out a survey and go, "Are you planning on coming on Thursday night?" So it's not as simple as saying, "Oh, all Celtic fans go and sit wherever you like." You know, it's especially with COVID regulations. We're meant to be. You know, it's not as easy as.
If you do, you're damned if you don't. Yeah, by the way, you're in a lose-lose regardless. And I know Pi and Bovril keeps on mentioning it every time it comes out. That guy just loves to greet about this. It's been explained to him 3 or 4 times how this works, and yet he'll still make the same argument, because he'll just stick his fingers in his ears and be like, la la la, I'm not listening. It's just boring. It's a boring argument now. Like it's been explained so many times, and people still moan about it. So.
Yeah, and that's how we'll end tonight's stream, because I don't know how, but we've managed to drive half an hour out of this for Raith Rovers in the Cup. This is my longest match preview of the season, I think, for a Cup quarter-final against Raith Rovers, so we'll take it. Thank you to everybody who did come along. Thank you very much to Ryan McGinley for once again joining me on this live stream. Lads, we'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be back tomorrow night on after the game. Ryan, I believe you'll be doing something with 67 Hail tomorrow, a plug for them.
Yes.
So you'll see Ryan's face about. You'll see me doing my 3 things we've learned as well tomorrow after the game. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. Make sure to hit like and subscribe.